Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Estudar Direito pelo Mundo, where I interview law professionals from around the world, especially asking them about how's their experience studying law abroad, practicing abroad. And today we'll have the opportunity to hear from João Stuart, who's currently studying in the UK. He's a Chevening Scholar, and I'm so excited to hear from him. Thank you so much for joining us today, João. To get us started in this podcast today, in this episode, can you please introduce yourself to your listeners?
Hello, everyone. My name is João. Well, firstly, thank you, Claudio, for opening this space for me to share with everyone a little bit about my trajectory and my experience here in the UK and also back in Brazil. As Claudio has said, my name is João. I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, one of the states in the southeast of Brazil, but I'm currently studying international human rights law, an LLM degree here in the University of Essex in the UK. My field of study is basically the interaction between the human rights and the economic agents, more specifically how tech companies can embed human rights in their process of developing softwares and new types of machines. So yeah, basically this is a quick introduction about myself. Yeah, eager to hear the next questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks again. So to get started with some questions, can you tell us a little bit about your law school journey? How did you decide to study law at all, and how did that go, especially when you were starting in Brazil still?
Actually, this is not like a really ideal answer because it was one of the most random choices in my life. My aunt is a lawyer, so when I was still in high school, I was thinking about which career path to choose, and yeah, because of her, I got really influenced on law issues, and I've always loved about like writing and debating and showing my opinion, discussing social issues and as well as human rights stuff. So yeah, basically that's one of the reasons that motivated me to apply for law school and to chose this career path. And yeah, basically and during the law school, I basically found myself because yeah, the law school has a lot of debating, writing, reading, and basically showing your opinion and developing your point of view on legal stuff. So yeah, I guess yeah, as I said, it wasn't like a really prepared decision, but yeah, I think I did the right one.
Oh, that's incredible. That's awesome. Well, and did you study in Rio? Is that where you studied as well? Was that in the capital, countryside?
I did. I went to the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, UFRJ, which is one of the biggest public universities in Brazil. It stays in Rio's downtown, so the law campus stays in Rio downtown. The other campuses are spread around the city. But yeah, I did study in the capital. But yeah. So it was in the capital.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, it also sounds like you had a diverse range of experiences while being a student in law school. So could you tell us a little bit about some of your experiences during school and how kind of you ended up deciding which areas and which specificities you'd like to study and further pursuing your career?
Yeah, I guess it was as my decision to go to law school, it was not exactly a really prepared decision. I guess that my path to arrive where I am now in terms of studies and research interests, it was also something full of ups and downs, you know. So I didn't have exactly a linear trajectory. So I began the law school really interested about theoretical, got into as I started to intern, to go to internships and to do practical activities, helped me to become more interested about international law and human rights stuff. So my first was as a professor at the Federal University of Rio, and then I passed through some PhD non-sac. I guess don't pressure yourself to perfect scenario for your career. I try to interest, because I guess the law school, the time you are at, is the time for this. So it's the time for you to choose your. So my experience was varied and diverse in terms of research subjects, like which kind of stuff I would like to pursue for my future. So yeah, as I said, it wasn't exactly direct and linear, but more of a ups and down yeah path.
Wow, that's incredible though. I feel like this trial and error style, just really helps you to have a clarity by really experience, right? So it really helps out on that. That's incredible. And you mentioned you're now in the UK. Can you tell us more about this whole experience, being a Chevening Scholar, being in the Essex University, taking an LLM?
It's been a really amazing opportunities. It's something that I recommend to everyone. So if you're really like, if you really want to come to not only to pursue your studies, I think it's a totally worth going experience, because it opens your mind to different perspectives, as well as it pushes you to go out of your comfort zones in terms of even like daily activities. For example, I didn't know how to cook when I lived in Brazil, so now I had to start cooking for myself. So it's something that it seems a little bit silly, but when you're here, you can feel your like development on an everyday basis. So in terms of study, I think it's as well as in terms of practical activities, it's super positive and super worth coming, because you can I guess that I have never had studied in English before, so all of my education was entirely in Portuguese, which is the native language of Brazil, for those who don't know. And coming here and had to start like learning and processing information in another language, it's something a little bit doubting and challenging at first, but then you feel that your brain is starting like to become more powerful and more able to take better decisions, and also to process and analyze information in different ways. And English is a global language, so if you're going to study your favorite field of interest in English, I think it's also very important, because you can open your opportunities. So in the UK, for example, I live really close to London. London is a global city, like a really big city with full of opportunities, and you can enjoy the atmosphere to put yourself into the industry you are really interested about. So yeah, I guess there are like millions and millions of advantages of studying abroad. Law, we usually, I guess in Brazil, I don't know if you agree with me, but people are really like more attached to domestic law. So international law doesn't have a really great space in Brazil for interest, but I think it's something that has been changing all over the time since I left my undergraduate studies. I can see that more and more people are becoming more interested about international law and the different fields linked to international law. So yeah, I guess that my experience in the UK, it's been amazing, and being a Chevening Scholar is something that I really recommend to everyone, because the scholarship offers not only really substantial financial support, because all of your expenses are paid by the scholarship. So if you got selected, yeah, they will pay for your full tuition. They will give you a really comfort stipend per month, like a monthly stipend, as well as they will pay for your air tickets, visa costs, and other types of extra costs that you will have during your experience here. So, and it's also a really nice opportunity for you to get to know people from all over the world. It's a program that touches more than 100 countries, if I'm not wrong. So we usually have networking events, meeting people events, and yeah, I guess it's I I cannot complain about the scholarship in any kind of term, because it's a really great and amazing support they are offering to me.
Wow, that's incredible. That sounds really exciting. Maybe are there like some bigger changes that you noticed from studying law, or from like just the study methods, you know? What is the classroom like? What are the, you know, normally when we talk about law school in Brazil and in common law countries, you normally talk about the Socratic method, the different style of grading. Were those things that you noticed as well at first? Were they easy to deal with? How was that for you?
Oh, absolutely. I think this thing that you mentioned about the Socratic method, it's a really different approach of studying in comparison to Brazil, because in Brazil, for those who are not Brazilians, and for those who are Brazilians and have not gone to law school, we usually have classes on a really passive method. So basically, you go to class and you hear what the professor has to say. But here, without like necessarily having to read anything previously, but here, and I guess in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and other English speaking countries, you need to read. You need to prepare yourself for the class. So it involves reading a bunch of stuff, like a couple of hundred of pages before going to class, and also like trying to prepare questions and comments in the class. So it's a more, how can I say, interactive and participating approach, which is challenging for those who are not like used and accustomed to this type of system. Because in my case, for example, I wasn't exactly ready to go through this number of pages every week. So probably on an everyday basis. So I had classes like 4 day classes per week, and almost like 300 pages per week to read. So it wasn't something exactly easy to deal with. But I guess that along with the time, you get used to it, as everything in life. So it becomes easier. At the first, it might be a little bit shocky, but after a few months, you just get used to it, and then everything becomes okay.
Fantastic. All right. Well, it's incredible. You've done so much during your undergrad studies. Now you're studying in the UK. And I also know you recently had an opportunity at McGill in Canada. Can you tell us a little more about what was that about? More about this opportunity?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was a super, super nice opportunity, because I was basically traveling around Belgium. I have a friend living there, and one day I was in Bruges, which is a city in the coast of Belgium. I had like walked all over the day, and I was just like laying on my bed at the hostel, and I saw the LinkedIn post from Claudio's channel announcing the Transformative Business Law Academy from McGill University in Montreal in Canada. And I applied. So it was a really another random decision. So basically, and I got selected a few weeks after. So it was an event like really focused on policy writing, recommendations for different types of themes and subjects linked to sustainability, ESG, artificial intelligence, and all of the other types types of subjects that are inside of this umbrella of ESG and sustainability, on how business can start to pay attention to their social and environmental impact, the type of impact that they are causing to societies and to the environment. Basically, we spent around 4 days writing policy recommendations on different types of subjects. There were like five groups, and each group was responsible for writing policy recommendations for a different subject. My subject of my group was the interaction between artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence can provoke changes on democratic systems. So how can we stop AI from deteriorating and from spreading misinformation that can compromise in some way or another the stability and in the development of fundamental rights and democratic values and the rule of law. So yeah, we prepared a really good and nice group of policy recommendations that will probably be taken to the Canadian government. I don't know if it's possible. I heard some comments, so I hope it becomes a reality in the future. Yeah, so it was a super nice opportunity, and for those who got interested, the academy will probably continue in the following years. So I really recommend for you to apply. They offered me a full financial support. They paid. Yeah, basically, I was saying that they offered me a full financial support in terms of like relocation and logistics. So I was just saying for those who got interested about this call, that it will continue. The academy will probably continue in the following years. And if you are interested and if you're thinking, oh, okay, but I cannot pay for the air tickets to go to Montreal, don't worry, because it is possible for them to pay for you. It's not exactly 100% guaranteed because it depends on funding. But yeah, I guess that given the successful first round of the academy, probably there will be additional funding in the following years. So yeah, you can count on this, I guess. So yeah, if you're interested, just apply. Don't be afraid.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice for sure. And going on that, you mentioned all about the main topics of this academy, and it seems like it's been reoccurring in your research and all. So I know that one of your research interests is the United States Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. So can you briefly tell our audience about this and maybe the role they've played in your studies and how you've come into contact with them at first?
Okay, yeah. I think I will begin by telling you how I got in touch with this. So I am currently working for the past 2 years. I've been working for the past 2 years for a Dutch NGO called Global Human Rights Defense, the group for international justice and human rights. And yeah, for the past few years, I've been watching international human rights courts touching on issues of how states should protect citizens from violations caused by private actors, such as corporations, for example. And at the same time, in 2011, the UN developed actually John Ruggie, which was a Harvard professor who was working for the UN Human Rights Council at that time. He developed a group of guidance and rules and principles for states and businesses to respect, and reparate respect and protect human rights, and then also provide victims of human rights violations with the concrete and accurate reparations. So basically, the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights are this group of rules and principles that provide states with binding obligations based on previous international human rights law instruments for them to strengthen their obligation to protect people from these violations coming from private agents, as well as it recommends, because it's not a mandatory, it's not a binding instrument, but it recommends companies some kind of responsibilities for them to introduce human rights due diligence instruments, for example, in their supply chain, so that they can start to avoid, mitigate, and address adverse human rights violations originating from their economic activities. And the third pillar, which is this responsibility of the obligation of states to provide people with the means and the mechanisms for them to pursue redress and reparation, and also to enable companies and corporations to also create their internal grievance mechanisms, for example, and resolution mechanisms, also to provide people with the chance to see restitutions, reparations, and different types of ways to see their to address and to tackle the human rights violation that they suffered because of these economic activities. Yeah, basically this is a really whole, and we could like spend hours talking about this. I would love that. But yeah, this is a really general and brief explanation. And about my interest related to the guiding principles, well, I would say that I'm really keen on understanding how these principles and rules they applied in the case of the technology sector. So as I told you, I worked with other people on artificial intelligence stuff back in Montreal during the academy. And I'm really interested on understanding how can we embed human on technology and algorithms are reproducing and reproducing. In the case of Brazil in the elections, for example, we know that a lot of fake news were given to people through this type of mechanisms. And how can we like create and for this algorithms to reproduce this kind of negative content? So yeah, basically my aim of study is to align these two things, because I personally believe that economic development and the respect for human rights are not exactly opposed poles, but they can be aligned, they can be put together, and they can work together for a more sustainable and fairer future.
Fantastic. That's incredible. Well, considering all of this not only research interest, but also work experience you've had, can you share with us a little bit about, assisting companies when you're doing that to better understand this sustainability? And I feel like often when we think about sustainability and maybe the ESG concept, often we'll think too much about the things that we've been doing for maybe 10, 20 years now, thinking about recycling, all these like very basic, maybe like surface level stuff. But what are some of the things that companies can do to begin actually incorporating those into their practices?
Yeah, I guess that so far companies were there are some companies really worried about the social and environmental impact of their own activities, but I guess that till nowadays there were not like some mandatory and binding behaviors and decisions coming from these companies. It was something a little bit more voluntary, I guess. So I guess the UN guiding principles, although they're not like a mandatory group of rules, many countries in Europe, for example, they are getting inspired from this from the UN guiding principles to produce their own local and regional mandatory legislations. So, for example, France has the Loi de Vigilance, which is the corporate social responsibility French law, which basically provides the companies with the necessary mandatory guidelines and requirements for them to start to avoid and mitigating their social and environmental impacts. So, and yeah, I guess that nowadays the greater change that I can see is that companies are becoming more open to mandatory to like actual truthful changes in their supply chain. So they are really worried about the social and environmental impact that they're causing in the world. So I guess that the event of climate change has a lot to do with this. It's more than well-proved phenomenon, and will affect not only stabilization, it will cause conflict, and this destabilization ended up providing and creating obstacles for economic agents to flourish. Act. That's why companies are so worried and interested in ESG, for example. I guess that this acronym represents some sort of solution, maybe, or an approach to address and to slow this deterioration of social and environmental issues coming from this exaggerated search for profit that some companies are still taking over. So yeah, I guess the main change is this transfer from a voluntary approach to something a little bit more mandatory, a little bit more binding.
Fantastic, fantastic. Wow, that's incredible. João, these were all so valuable just to have an idea of what you're researching, and also hearing about your all of you've done so far, right? A lot of different experiences in different parts of the world really show you have a very thorough understanding of the topic, as well as it's definitely very encouraging for people who are just planning on continuing a career. It's really exciting to know that a degree in law can take you to all these different specific fields. No one single thing you can do with a law degree, and that's incredible. So I really would like to thank you for your willingness to share some of these incredible experiences with us here today. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to you for opening the space for me. I'm super happy to be here, and I think it's as you said, the law is a really broad and full of opportunities field of research and study. So if you're thinking about taking a law degree, yeah, it's a super nice field of studying. And yeah, so don't be discouraged about the difficulties, the obstacles, and because there are so many advantages related to this field.
That's right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.